It's the Twisted Metal on Peacock review. Welcome to another episode of Talk Punch. Thank you so much to both our audio podcast and our YouTube viewers for joining us. I am Brody, and I'm joined by Tudong Dylan.
Hey.
And the blue shirt guy of this free city, Charlie Hickman.
How's it going?
That's a Free Guy reference, Charlie. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh, I have seen it. It's good. Good stuff.
Good. Yeah. Okay. Good. I wasn't sure. I took a risk, and I'm glad that it paid off. So, well, if you haven't already, we'd love it if you subscribed. That way, you can come back here every Wednesday to hang out with us and have some fun. Because oodalolly, golly, what a day! This one's gonna be a fun one. We're talking Twisted Metal on Peacock. They dropped the whole thing just a few weeks ago. We all watched it. So, how do we want to do this, guys? Should we start with the spoiler-free overall thoughts?
Absolutely. And I think, Brody, we can all tell by the enthusiasm in your voice that this is the first TV show you've ever seen, and it's the first one that you've ever loved. So, why don't you start us off? Yeah, we'll each kind of share just some quick spoiler-free thoughts. And that way, if you haven't seen this yet, you watch this segment, you decide, do I want to watch it? You pause this video, you go watch, you binge the whole season, you come back, and then we can talk about it after that. And then you know, maybe we all hate it, and then we saved you the trouble, and then you can skip it and listen to our thrashing. Who knows? It may shock you. Brody, what do you think?
Oh, man. Okay, so I remember watching the trailers for this. And when I first heard the announcement, I was like, ooh, a Twisted Metal show. Because I remember playing Twisted Metal 1 on the PlayStation, and I was a big fan. I had so much fun. And then Twisted Metal 2 came out, and I loved that. Twisted Metal 3 came out, I enjoyed that. And I played a lot of these games, even the Twisted Metal Black just a couple years ago when that came out. So I have always enjoyed this franchise. And then some trailers and like clips started coming out, and I was like, oh man, I don't think it looks very good. But it's Twisted Metal, so I'll give it a shot. And then I started watching it, and I was about halfway through episode 1, and I was like, I don't think this is very good. I don't really like this. And I was like, I'm gonna write it out. I'm gonna get through, like I'll give it like a couple episodes. We'll see. But so far, I'm not really enjoying it. And then something happened, I think in episode 2. I think episode 2 ended, and I was like, all right, I'm in. I don't remember exactly what it was. I don't remember if it was just that we were getting more of the story. I think the initial scenes with Anthony Mackie, I didn't enjoy. He was, I don't know, something was a little bit different with him in the first episode than him with the rest of the series. And so I started to really enjoy it in episode 2. And then I was just in, and I binged the whole thing. And I don't binge shows. I really enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun watching this show. And like, as I was thinking, I was like, I don't think Charlie would like this. I think that Dylan would enjoy it. But this doesn't. This is kind of like the time, Charlie, that we did a Mortal Kombat review. And I remember we were talking, and you were like, why do you make me watch these, Brody? And I said, because we run a YouTube channel, and this is what we're trying to do.
I love I will not stand for the Mortal Kombat slander. It was great.
So I ended up really liking this. I ended up really liking the characters. I really liked the story. I loved like the second to last episode where they did all the car combat, because it felt just like the video game.
What, may I ask why you think Charlie wouldn't like it?
This is just not a Charlie show.
How so?
Charlie enjoys a certain level of quality that I'm not sure this hits, but I still enjoy things that are kind of below that quality because I have fun with them. Charlie's telling me about shows, and he's like, it's kind of a downer. It's going to make you sad. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch that. And he's like, no, but it's really well done. And I'm like, but I don't want to be sad. I want to laugh when Sweet Tooth puts his head on fire. And does it make sense? Golly, no, it doesn't. But I sure So I really enjoyed this. And even in the last episode where they're talking about the tournament with Calypso, and you got all these the
All these spoilers
teases.
in your spoiler-free review over here. Nothing but spoilers.
Oh, that's right. This is spoiler free. Well, it's a tournament. That's the whole basis of the game. So, all right, there's my unspoilery.
Hey, and in this case, hey, sometimes cars have spoilers, sometimes they don't. Sometimes Brody has spoilers, sometimes he doesn't.
It's the basis of the game. It's like saying
that by the way, if you're watching at home, that was a beautiful example of how to pretend like you're saying something nice about someone while really you're calling them a snob. You're like,
no, you're not a snob at
oh,
all.
this is probably a little too lowbrow for Charlie. He prefers a more highbrow form of entertainment. He's probably watching Frasier while sipping some sherry and putting opera in the background because he can't watch Twisted Metal.
That's true.
Probably, yeah. That would be an accurate thing, but it's not. It's not like a mean thing.
I like Frasier and opera, but I don't like sherry. Dylan, what do you got for us? What do you think?
Oh, I like sherry actually. Like the cream sherry is excellent. Otherwise, it's a little
I
bit
haven't
better.
had cream sherry. Bring it over.
You gotta have some cream sherry. It's excellent. I'll be really honest. I did not hear of the video game. Somehow I've heard of Sweet Tooth, and I've seen his image before. I'm probably on like some kind of a game, but I mean I've never played the game or um, I may have seen it. Yeah, I must have seen it somewhere, like a poster or something. But it's the funniest thing. I'd seen it. I hadn't seen the trailers, but I saw like the name and people who were in it, and I was like, Anthony Mackie's pretty cool. He's definitely got charisma. And I was like, oh, Stephanie Beatrix is in it. That's all right. All right. Well, let's. I don't know. Like it actually when it dropped, I had just finished watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give this a go. And so I watched it. I've got to say, Stephanie Beatrix is a really good actress. Her emotions and facial reactions are unbelievable. Um, and Anthony Mackie is just like I said, charismatic. He's got the charm. Um, some of the times, some of the banter didn't quite land, but when it did land, oh, he just nails it. The action's good. I actually like Will Arnett as the voice of Sweet Tooth. I found that very entertaining. This is still a spoiler free, right? Yeah. I mean, I thought I liked the apocalyptic. Uh, there's the bad guy. Thomas Hayden Church is the like absolute bad guy in this whole thing in a place that's kind of full of bad guys. You know who to root for, but even then, it's questionable. And so it was. They were very well acted. It was I kind of got the idea. It's funny. So many people behind the scenes actually also worked on Family Guy. I didn't know that. Like the producer and one of the writers. But either way, I recognize their names from watching Family Guy. But yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought some of the things it didn't make sense, and I was like, you know what? I don't care. This is really fun. I'm just gonna shut the brain off and I'm gonna watch this. And then Stephanie Beatrix starts getting emotional, and I'm starting to feel, and I'm like, I'm not supposed to feel when it's just supposed to shut your brain off and have fun. She's really But anyways, I'm like, Mirabelle, don't cry. It's all right. But yeah, and then Anthony Mackie comes in with a one-liner, and I'm like, all right, I'm back again. All right, it's good. So it's good fun. That's what it is.
Charlie, how about
I'll
you?
say I'm going to sum up my spoiler-free review in terms of like a road trip because this is a movie about cars.
About a road trip.
Brody said you got to watch this. You got to watch this for the pod.
Yep.
I gotta be honest. I didn't even know that it was on Peacock. I didn't have Peacock at the time. So for the content, for the people, I got I did a free trial of some Peacock just so I could binge watch this show, which Brody thought was beneath me. So let me just start. This was not like an even show. Like the tone is a little all over the place. It's very swervy. You have episodes that are very bright and video gamey and colorful.
Yes.
You have episodes that are very, very dark and very, very gory. You have episodes that are heavy on action. You have episodes with almost no action.
Yeah.
You have episodes that really advance the plot and move them along. And you have a couple episodes that are kind of like traffic on a long road trip, and you're just
Yeah.
kind of sitting there and you're stuck behind some cars. Look, overall, the journey I think was worth it. I'm surprised here, Brody. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
Ooh.
I think you have to have expectations that are reasonable for whatever show or content you are watching, whether it's a movie or television
Yes.
show. You should never put a show like Twisted Metal on thinking it's going to be like I'm watching The Last of Us right now, which is a different apocalyptic approach. That is art. That is cinema. That is beautiful. But it is a completely different show than the show. And sometimes to quote my dear friend Dylan, you just want to shut off your brain and watch something fun. And this show certainly achieves that, I think. And look, it has some great emotional moments too. Uh,
Yeah.
Brody, you said there was something that happened at the end of episode 1, end of episode 2 that you couldn't quite put your finger on. Let me tell you what I think that is the chemistry between the leads. Because as soon as Anthony Mackie and Stephanie Beatrice are in the car
Yeah.
together, and
Yeah.
their characters start building that chemistry, the show takes on a different shape, and they really
Mm.
play well off of each other. Their
Mm.
chemistry is very, very visceral. You can kind of feel that coming through the screen, and she's really good.
Yeah.
Just her eyes are so expressive, and she just can deliver a line. And Anthony Mackie is super charming. But even like the side characters, I like Mike Mitchell. He plays Stu. He's in a bunch of things that are fun, and yeah, the voice acting, Will Arnett does a good job. I think overall the cast is good. It's fun to see Thomas Hayden Church being a villain, getting some Neve Campbell in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good, well-rounded cast. And look, manage your expectations. But if you kind of just like things that explode, and a little bit of pew pew and some funny one-liners mixed into your apocalyptic viewing, then this is a good show for you, and you should definitely
Yeah.
watch it. And now, fair warning, we're gonna get a little bit deeper into this now. Let's get some spoilers out there. We're gonna pack some
Yes.
spoilers in the car so we can really take flight.
Nice.
And we're going to kind of get a little bit more in depth here, and let's talk about some of the things that we really loved. And so I guess we'll frame it like this: what really worked for you and what didn't work for you. And let's get a little bit more specific. Dylan, I want to start with you because I know that you got some stuff that didn't work for you. Everything worked for Brody. Be more interesting than Brody.
All right. I'll be honest. I understand that it's apocalyptic, but at the same time, I'm, like I said, I'm trying to shut off my brain and watch, something that's fun. And it was unnecessary, I think, with the animal violence, as far as I'm concerned. When that baby seal came up, I was just like, oh, no, please, please. I want to keep watching this, please. And we didn't see it, but he
Didn't
kills the
see it.
baby seal and then he eats it. Now, if they'd have shown it, I would have been like, I'm done. I am out of this. Do not care for it. Was not necessary. I understand what they were trying to do. I get it. Just didn't. And then, and I loved Sweet Tooth. I loved Sweet Tooth. And then he told his backstory, and I found it like
Oh, that's right.
unnecessary for him to kill the poor dog. I'm like, he should have killed like an adult. That's what would have been more to his character. Kill an adult. Then he could fight. He's a little kid. Don't kill a dog. The dog literally did nothing to kill one of the adults who were making you feel bad. Don't kill
The dog was
He
taking
did
his spot
nothing.
on the show.
The dog wasn't doing it on purpose. Kill the trainer. Kill the people who are telling you all of this stuff. The producer, director, all these people who actually make decisions, conscious decisions. Dog can't make any decisions. Kill one of the adults and be cool about it. Kill him, but don't kill a poor dog. Unnecessary.
Oh,
And it
that
doesn't
dog
make you
looked
look
old.
cool. It doesn't make you look cool. It makes you look weak. I'm like, Will Arnett, what are you doing?
That's a good
Kill an
lesson to you kids
adult.
out there, by the way. Leave the dogs alone. No, I agree with you, Dylan. There's kind of like a couple moments that like played for laughs that they probably could have written something in that was a little friendlier joke for. But the Sweet Tooth one is interesting. I wouldn't mind unpacking a little bit more because he has kind of a weird arc. He's got a
Yeah.
very
He
odd
does.
character. And Brody, I'm curious, like, because I've watched you play the games in your youth,
Yeah.
but I don't remember them being heavy on backstory of the characters. Is this in the game, like these backstories, or is this just completely invented for the television show?
No, I think the bulk of this stuff is invented for the show. Sweet Tooth, there's been like a lot of different stories with Sweet Tooth, and he's kind of changed characters depending on like which game it is. And he just had a cool look, and so he kind of became the mascot of the game. And so then he was
Makes
in
sense.
every game. But like he looked, completely different in the first game and then looked different in the second game. And it wasn't till like the third or fourth game that he actually kind of got this mask with the flames, like right on the top of the head and stuff like that. And I haven't
Yeah,
played
like Jason
every game,
Voorhees.
so I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't think that like this child actor story was a part of the
Okay, that's
game
fair.
at all.
I mean, there's also like like I'm like for instance like Pokemon, a popular. I was gonna say children's, but I do love my Pokemon. Like the Pokemon Cubone, it says like in the Pokemon's description that he wears the skull of his dead mother on his head,
Yeah.
which like is the kind of thing that you can write in like the back of a trading card, but like not the kind of thing that you put in the anime. Uh, so I gotta
Yeah.
know like if some of this stuff maybe pops up on like a like pick your racer and it's like he murdered someone and he's a child actor and it's like on like a little racing card, but maybe is a little bit different playing it out in like a real world scenario. But
Well, and it's
um,
interesting too because in the game, like Sweet Tooth is the name of the truck, and his name
Huh.
is like Needles Kane. And so then like at different points, like his dad was a cab driver, and like there was I think a brother or something like that. And so there was all these like Kane family things. But yeah, I think that the show just kind of wanted to sort of make their own story, and they're just like, you know what, like we're just going to call this character Sweet Tooth, and that's fine. And we're going to give him a backstory so that people feel bad for him, but also hate him. And I think that was kind of the child actor killing a dog thing is like, oh man, his parents are horrible to him, and he's got all this stuff, but then he killed a dog, and it's like he really exists in this weird like I hate him, but I love him, but he's cool, but he's evil, but I want to see him die, but I want to see him kill the other bad guys type, just like this anarchy type role.
I chalk it off to him misremembering. I don't think that any of that happened. In fact, I don't even think he was a child actor.
It's
That's what
possible.
I'm thinking right there. He made it up in his own mind. I'm not saying he doesn't think it's true. I don't think he thinks he's lying. I think for some reason he thinks he's telling the truth.
Maybe he's crazy, so it's possible.
But I mean, everything else, he has like gone after other people. Like, he's a strong character. Like, he cool, not like make him strong. I'm sorry, Charlie. I totally interrupted.
no, you're doing great. I think his character does create some like mixed emotions for me as I was watching it. Like the showroom stuff, like in the Vegas, like and he's up there kind of doing the hotel shtick. That didn't really like hit for me. Like I didn't find that like I didn't really laugh during that scene. I feel like maybe they could have come up with something that was a little funnier on its surface. But and then there were some scenes like where he's like rescuing like Stu and some of the characters, and you're kind of like okay, and then but I mean really all the time kind of spent away from our leads kind of felt a little like things
Mm,
started to get a little bit sluggish, and I
yeah,
think the show kind of like maybe suffered a little bit for that. And I think the more you try to like, it's just the more you try to explain things.
Sure.
Like, there's a lot of like flashbacks, which I don't really enjoy as like a storytelling device. If you watch the show for a while, you know that's like one of my least favorite. Like I hate flashbacks. And I know every show has flashbacks. At least the show starts at the beginning, sort of. But like, because either they're more interesting than what we're watching, or they're less interesting than what we're watching. Either way, it's just kind of weird filler stuff that's not really progressing things forward. I don't know that we needed to know more about Sweet Tooth. I think he could just exist in more of
Yeah.
like a nebulous,
I
like
agree.
why, like this, like why, how is this possible? What's happening here? Like we don't need to ever explain it. Like it's like Dylan brought up Family Guy. We don't ever need to explain why the dog can talk. Like the dog can just talk. If you
Sure.
Exactly.
try to explain it, it's just gonna be way worse. So let's just move on from that for a little bit. What do we think of like just some of the like the colorful villains along the way that are setting up for this kind of big twisted metal competition here? Bloody Mary, and we got the preacher, and some of these other characters. Are we into those? Are we excited about like where this is headed? How are we feeling?
I couldn't when I saw the preacher, and it was Adrian Pimento from Brooklyn Nine Nine. I was like, Rosa Diaz cannot get away from Adrian Pimento. He's just everywhere. I can't believe this. Um, he definitely plays a certain type of character. He's kind of typecast, I guess. Like
Someday
in
he's got to come out with like in
this
a
and
Shakespeare movie or something and just blow everyone's mind.
that would be. I bet I'd love to see it, and I'm not being sarcastic. That would be kind of cool. But I mean, sheesh. He was in Community. He was in this, and he was in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and it's very similar characters. They're very loud, and
Yeah,
somehow they are very, very hardcore. Like shockingly hardcore. Like trying to get us to believe like Adam Sandler is a tough guy. You just can't. I've never bought it. Like in Mr. Deeds, he's like pounding people to the ground. I'm like, it's difficult for me to believe that. It's a little bit more. It's a lot more believable, Daydream Pimento, but he's just always exactly kind of like this.
yeah.
But I mean,
The
hey, he
first time I
did.
ever saw him was in The League. Did you guys ever watch The League?
I didn't see that. No,
I think that was
is he?
kind of like the birth of this persona, and he's like all in. It's and he's just been kind of the same guy ever since. I don't know if he was this guy before. Maybe that's just his personality. But yeah, it's definitely like he has the one character and it kind of moves around. Even in The Good Place, he's
Oh
got
yeah. Uh-huh.
wind chimes.
I will say for the villains, like I loved when a new villain showed up because they were
Yeah, that's
all
true. Yeah,
they were all so different,
they were
and they were
very
all
colorful.
just these huge caricatures of like people, like
Yeah,
the priest guy was like, I've got this cult that I've made, and it's gonna be full. We're crucifying people upside down, and you know, like just like all these big personalities. There was him. There was Bloody Mary, who was so extreme. Like, so every person that showed up like was a video game character, and I
yeah,
loved it. Like characters showed up, and you knew right away. You're like, this person's gonna have an impact because they're just funny and they're huge and they're gonna do something crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's interesting. Go ahead, Dylan. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say like and since this is spoilery now, at the end when he's going through his days inside the what was the place called? Was it San Francisco?
Yeah, New San
New
Francisco.
San Francisco.
New San Francisco, right? And he was staying there. I mean, I guess he just kind of wasn't used to it, but I remember seeing that as he's walking out throughout the day, and I was just kind of like, what? Like, what is going on here? There were, I mean, like people who were acting unnaturally. I was like, and then you realize exactly because I was like, all right, they're obviously setting this up because there were like women who were almost bent right over, just like, oh, hey, hey, how's it going, John? And I was like, what? And they're like, all of the guys like were just so cheery. But then you kind of started noticing it that everybody was doing it on purpose, and
Sure.
I mean, I uh, I don't know. I thought, like at the end, I thought it was sloppy at first, and then I thought it was really sloppy in the end. I was like, John, how are you not exactly seeing this? This is really obvious at this point.
He spent
Like in
his
that
whole life on the road.
Yeah, I mean that's true. That's true. Jeez. All right, maybe from my perspective, you're right. That actually makes a lot of sense. And hey, you know what? It's made to be that way because for us, that's completely not normal, and for him, what does he know what normal is? So I mean, hey, they did a good job of making it that just like that bit where we're like, wait a minute, and then we definitely can see it, and it's like, oh, sheesh. I thought they were gonna like cut him to pieces or something, or they're like, well, you are a sacrifice or something. I was like, just waiting for something like that. And then because I've never played the video game, I had no
Sure.
idea what they're doing when they go in there. I felt so bad that that Quiet couldn't go in with him. I was like, that just sucks. But it made a lot of sense. And I mean, is in the end, is it you think that that's that was like John Doe's sister? Is that right?
In like the baby doll mask, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think she's gonna have Quiet join that race or join that tournament?
I don't know. Maybe.
Is the baby doll a racer, bro?
Yeah.
Look, I hadn't played these games, and so I kind of thought the battle royale at the end, which felt very video gamey.
I loved that so much.
That was
I thought it was a really
really
cool scene,
cool.
and it was like
Really cool.
a really fun action sequence. And so I
Yeah.
kind of like, I mean, obviously they set up the nefarious Nev Campbell in episode 1. You know, she kind of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
tosses the baby aside, and she's okay. Okay, she's evil. So we don't know how she's evil, what kind of evil she is, but she's definitely evil. And then so I didn't realize they were setting up just this big tournament, which is
Yeah. Yeah.
which made kind of some of like what I would have been what would have been kind of not complainy, but just like some of these detours along the way that felt unnecessary.
Right.
Now
Fillers.
realizing they're kind of setting up characters to be in this tournament in season 2, that makes a lot more sense than if they were just kind of one-off characters that we
Right.
were never seeing again. Like, oh,
Yeah.
here's Bloody Mary, she's kind of interesting, now she's dead, and on we move to the next town. It's like, oh, okay, she's not dead, she's going to be a racer in the next movie, the next season or whatever. So that kind of gives it a little bit more. Okay, all right, good. So there's a little bit more purpose to the setup,
Right.
which makes
Right.
it it made it feel a little less like, oh, okay, all right, like, all right, I can get behind this a little bit more, I guess. Is
Right.
the main story was good. I thought it was interesting. Look, there's plenty of plot holes. You can certainly like, well, why would they just not shoot Stephanie, or Quiet, excuse me, at the end there when she shoots him?
Yeah.
It's apocalyptic wasteland. I'm sure they're very curious about saving bullets, and human life is definitely important. But like,
Right.
She was
all
becoming
right,
a
let's just
milkman.
calm the situation
No,
down
she
and
was becoming a
let her go.
milkman. She could do deliveries for them. She could
I
help
just
them
think that
out.
if you're firing bullets at people that are going into the city, probably they just kill you without much question about it. But that's real nitpicking. It doesn't really matter. None of like the little nitpicky stuff I think really matters. So you're either gonna like the show because it's fun and
Right.
it's bright
Yeah.
and it's colorful, or you're not gonna like the show because it's just like it's a little silly and ridiculous and over the top. And those little kind of inconsequential plot holes or nitpicks, or you can notice them, but like you're gonna forgive them if you like the show, and if you don't like the show, it's just another reason to kind of not like it. So
Sure.
um are you guys so I look I we- are you guys in for another season? Are we excited about season
Oh,
2?
100%, man. Because now we're getting season 2 is going to be where we're getting into like the video game essentially. Because you're going into this tournament. Calypso holds this tournament. The winner of the tournament gets like a wish granted. It's anything that they want. In some games he was like a supernatural person. Some games he was just kind of a powerful dude. But that's going to be it. So Calypso is holding this tournament, and so now you're seeing all these drivers, and you even got some glimpses of drivers that were from the video game. Like there was Axel, who's a guy that's just has no arms, that's just in between two giant wheels. Like you saw a picture of him, and I was like, oh, Axel. And so like they're talking about this, and I'm all of a sudden I'm excited because I'm like, oh, okay, so this was a build to the tournament. So yeah, 100%. I'm totally in. I'm gonna be super excited. I didn't think I would be super excited for a Twisted Metal season.
Would you explain how this tournament works?
You go in and it's pretty much like Last to Survive. I mean, that's how it is in the video game. Is you go in and you need to kill the other drivers. And if you are kind of the lone survivor, then you win and you get a wish granted from Calypso.
I'm curious to see how they're going to play that out. If they're just going to kill off like all these characters, or they're going to make it less to the death somehow.
Yeah, like if you take out their car, like that's all you have to do.
I have a feeling it'll probably be something like, okay, here's a whole bunch of people. You're going to recognize some of them. Some people are going to be new. Those new people that you don't know, they're going to die like right away. All the people that you recognize will make it pretty far into the tournament. Like, it's not going to be a groundbreaking new like format, but I think it's going to be a ton of fun.
Yeah, I'm curious. I think I'm in on a season 2. I get like maybe a more interesting question to ask, because I think probably we'll all watch it if for no other reason, just to see how it's pulled off.
Right.
If there is no season 2, if they decide not to renew it, would you still recommend people watch season 1?
Yeah.
Bill?
I'd probably describe it to him and be like, is this your thing? Because like who would I be? I mean, it would depend. It would really depend. Charlie, would you recommend this?
Yeah, it's short. It's like 10 episodes.
That's
So
true.
I think people should watch like 1 to 2. You can't watch one because you really got to see
Yeah, yeah,
Quiet and John Doe together. You got to appreciate Anthony and Stephanie together. I think to get a real grip on the show. Really by episode 3, I think there's some episodes that are kind of like in isolation worth watching. But it is
yeah.
not for the squeamish, like the whole Orange County
Mm-mm.
body parts getting chopped off storyline. Like that's
Oh,
real
yeah.
unsettling. Like there's certainly like there's gore, but then there's also like the animal stuff. It's just stuff that's like disturbing. It's like a different lane.
Sure.
I
Yeah,
kind of talked about that at the beginning. So the show has like it kind of just veers left and right for a lot of things that might be a little bit upsetting or triggering to people. Um, but there's like I think it was episode 5 where John and Quiet are like inside for the storm. That's a
Yeah.
beautiful episode. I love
yeah.
a good bottle episode where characters are kind of just
Yes.
trapped in one location, and you have to rely on the acting and the writing to sell the episode. That's all you got. And that worked for me. That episode really worked for me quite well. I thought it was really a really fun episode. One of my favorite ones of the non-action variety. Um, I look one of my pet peeves with post-apocalyptic anything is if it gets too like drama, like between the interpersonal relationship stuff. Like that really is a big turn on. Like The Walking Dead, I wanted to love it, and they spend that whole second season in a barn just like being like grumpy with each other and this whole like love triangle nonsense. And it's like I just kind of want to see zombies. Like I don't really care like whose feelings are hurt. Like I just kind of like I want to see I want to see zombies. This emotional drama, this tension. And the show kind of veered away from that mostly. There was a couple of like little where she loses his picture and the car stuff. There's a couple of these like where they're really putting like really weak roadblocks in their relationship to kind of make it seem like they're not gonna you know really like
Yeah,
love each other or
yeah.
like each other. There's like really weak speed bumps that are really more of like groans for me. Like, oh yeah, oh, okay, oh, she's definitely out now. She's not gonna care about him anymore. And it's like, all
Right.
right, come on, let's get it back. Let's because I don't want to see them fighting. I want to see them happy together. The chemistry is
Sure.
what sells the show. Like let's
Yes.
get out of this like weird, it's the apocalypse, people. Get along. So I'm glad the show didn't like live in those moments. It just kind of had like little flashes here or there that were more like
Right.
nuisances to me. Um, but Brody, I know you're a person who I wanted to mention. I know that Dylan said like that he's like, oh, all these people are acting suspicious because they love him so much. I know that that's how people act around you all the time. So it didn't
That's
seem
true, bro.
suspicious to you. Everyone's always just bending over and just being very polite to you in general. Uh, so I'm just curious to hear your overall. Give us you love this show. Give us come on one more big sales pitch to the people out there. Tell them why you
Before
love it.
before he does, I'd just like to once again say, if you're a fan of Anthony Mackie or Stephanie Beatrix, definitely watch this show because they are excellent in it.
They're great.
I mean,
They're
like
great.
they have it's an excellent showcase for both of their talents. All right, bro, I've given you enough time.
All right. So, yeah. So I really enjoyed this show. I wasn't sure about it when it started, but man, I ended up really liking it. I ended up really having fun with it. And that's the biggest thing is that I was interested in the characters. At the same time, I was getting lots of action. I was getting explosions. I was getting these crazy vehicles, all these souped up vehicles, with missiles and weapons and machine guns. Every episode felt like it took place in like a different setting, and it was episodic. It was episodic, but it also had this story that ran through the whole thing. And so it's like as Charlie said, it's an easy watch because you do have that cliffhanger, you know. And so even though you're meeting new characters and you're kind of in a different place every single episode, you have this story that you're following. And so man, I was so surprised that I enjoyed it this much. And it is crazy. You get to that battle royale at the end and you're watching
Yeah.
Sweet Tooth light his head on fire and you're watching him kill people and people have missiles. There's like an Indy car. The trucker girl busts out the Indy car, and so and they're in, I don't know where they are. They're in like a stadium or something. There's all these roads.
Yeah.
Lots of roads.
I don't care. I loved that scene so much, and it didn't make sense, but I loved it. So if you like that
When
type
Sweet
of stuff,
Tooth was like, "He's mine," I was like, "Yes, Sweet Tooth." That doesn't make a lot of narrative sense. It should have been Quiet's, but I don't care. I love that you said it.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
So and
Right.
it sets up for a great season 2. So hopefully we'll
Right.
get it. I mean, like I feel like it, because I've read some stuff about it. My Google feed is like, hey, you must like Twisted Metal. So here's things about it. And so it seems really like, I feel like every other story that I read about it is like, it's one of the most watched shows on Peacock.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
critics
that's right.
don't like it, but the audience score is really high on Rotten Tomatoes. But these people are saying that it's so bad it's embarrassing, and I'm like, okay, I don't understand what's happening here, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Look, as the resident snob, I guess, television snob, it's fun.
That's not
fun.
what I said, Charlie. That's not what I said.
Okay, bro. It's I'm gonna take the high road here.
It's kind of what you said, bro.
It's not what I said
It's
at
fun.
all.
Even someone like me enjoyed it. So I think you can probably watch along and find some things that you're gonna really like about it. Brody's been watching Ted Lasso, another TV show. Brody never watches TV show. There's a character named Coach Beard who will say something very benign, and then Ted Lasso's like, "Oh, you don't know how big a deal that is coming from him." So the fact that Brody is sitting here saying that he loves a TV show,
Yeah.
you don't know how big a deal that is. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Brody
Very
doesn't like
true.
it. Doesn't like TV. This is a big deal, folks. So you should
10
definitely check it out.
episodes, way too long. That's my Brody impression.
It's just the wrestler who plays one of the main characters. That's why Brody likes it. But
That's
Gotta
right.
love
And
Samoa
it's a
Joe,
video
man. He's great.
all right. Any comments?
No, it's an
We
easy
got-
watch.
hey.
Just go watch it.
Go
Yeah,
watch it.
easy watch.
Decide for
Very
yourself.
fun.
If you've seen it, let us know in the comments what you think of the show. Or if you haven't seen it, let us know if you're gonna watch it, because we'd love to interact with you.
Yeah.
Let Brody, if you don't want to see it, let Brody talk you in it in the comments. Challenge him.
Try.
He's gonna come at you.
Try.
He's gonna twist your metal. Well, anyway, we hope you've enjoyed your little speed bump along the road of life here with us. We're happy to have you with us at all times. In the tournament of our hearts, you're always number one. And Brody's going to grant you a special wish next episode, so watch out for that. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.